Hello and welcome again to Investing Testing. I thought I'd make this quick video to talk about my biggest worries, which has been happening recently. I came across at the moment I've got on the screen the price to earnings ratio. I think this is kind of important. This is essentially what it is, it's essentially looking at the price of the stock compared to the earnings of the company divided by the amount of stocks that are in existence. For example, if they've got 1,000, not that they'd have 1,000, but 1,000 shares shared out throughout the world, and so they divide the earnings of the company by 1,000, and then look at the price of that share. Oftentimes it will be it's the higher the number, the worse it is. It's of course 1-to-1 would mean that the earnings is exactly the same as the price of the stock, and then if you go if it goes higher, 2, 3, 4, that's 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. We're looking at a time here. If you actually, I was watching YouTube yesterday and I was looking through several videos, and they were talking about the fact that the market conditions. First of all, I found out about Bill Gates pulling out most of his tech investments. He pulled out last month in March, at the end of March, he pulled out 100% of a lot of his stocks in various different tech industries, including Tesla and other people such as that, and then invested in just one, which is a medical company. Now, if you actually look, if you search the internet at the moment to see and just talk about the stock market crash in April, you will find a lot of information, and one of them, startlingly, that's a made-up word. What has startled me is that Investopedia also has an article here, and which makes perfect sense, where they're talking about this CAPE ratio, which is the it's to do with, it's linked in quite much to the price to earnings ratio. And why they're talking about the 1929 stock market crash, it's because during that period before the stock market crash, people were investing heavily in various different stocks. Now, put simply, if we quickly go over to TradingView here and we have a look at the S&P 500 or maybe even the FTSE 100 here, you can see that, let's say S&P 500, let's see it. Now, you can clearly see that there is this trend that's kind of like the stock has, if we go back to March last year when the coronavirus first hit, and you can see that it clearly just dropped. And the market has recovered remarkably fast. That's not easy to hide. It's not. If I put the same level, we managed to get to the same level by the time it was August last year, and it just kept on growing. And this is kind of worrying, because I know a lot of new retail investors have come in, and they've, including myself, and have invested heavily into the stock market because they just kept on thinking that it just keeps going up and it's not going to stop. That's exactly what happened in 1929, or just before 1929 crash. People were thinking that, this just keeps going up. There's no reason why we shouldn't invest ourselves. And so it's a little bit scary in terms of that was a real major crash. This was no 2008 financial crash. This is something that took around, I think it was 15 or 25 years to recover from. So we're not talking about something small here. And I don't think, from my own gut feeling, I know I normally say don't follow your feelings, but when it comes to gut feeling, I often think that it's correct. From my own gut feeling, I honestly think that we have the stocks in general, like I demonstrated in the S&P 500, has recovered too quickly. People have been too hopeful, and it is showing the signs of what it was like in 1929. And so I'm here to try and explain how this may affect you, may affect me. At the moment, what is happening is that I have invested into various different people that are managing my portfolio on eToro. Now, I'm trying to get rid of people who don't seem to take recession warnings. I mean, first of all, I did invest in the first place in people that actually managed to not lose that much during the last recession in March. But I like to invest in people who are a little bit paranoid and a little bit like safe in their outlook, and if they see any signs of recession, then they're going to react quickly. And so I have been going through there and making sure that I was able to making sure my portfolio is just full of people that are looking out for the warning signs of this. But I do have my own investments, of course, and mostly that's into crypto. Now, the great thing is that every other crypto has a habit of following Bitcoin. So that's why I'm going to be talking mostly about Bitcoin, because if the Bitcoin crashes, then you are guaranteed that most of the other larger cryptos will crash as well. And so that's why I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin here. Now, at the moment, so actually dating back like 2 weeks ago, I know that Tesla, not 2 weeks ago, sorry. Let's have a quick look here. I think it has the timeline here. Yes, it does have beautiful timeline. So you can see here that around... Here we are. Bitcoin's no, that's not when they bought them. Here, back in February, Tesla bought Bitcoins, but it was about 2 weeks ago when I was actually watching YouTube again, and somebody suggested that this could not necessarily be a good thing because Tesla stocks have been going down slightly, and I realized that I should be watching Tesla stocks on top of Bitcoin because this person was very paranoid that I was watching. He was suggesting that perhaps if Tesla turn around and realize that their share price is going too low and they're wanting to make their profits look much better, then they're going to turn around and then they're going to dump all their Bitcoins. And in that case, that will cause a market crash in Bitcoin. However, I don't think necessarily that's how it will happen. Now, I know Tesla will generally see if we ignore what I was just talking about, the recession, I know that Tesla will probably wanting to be pumping up their share value, and therefore they will probably sell their Bitcoins just to create profit as and when they need it. Or generally, if you actually look at Bitcoin in general for the past since February the 22nd, it's now the 1st of April, you can see that Bitcoin has constantly been between the $60,000 mark and the $50,000 mark. Okay, it went a little bit under 50,000 there, but you can see that generally it's got, let's go back to the actual chart because this is hard to see on this. So you can see from not so long ago, a full featured chart, here we are. Let's boot it up. Okay, I'm wanting to change this into candles because I love candles. Is it in day range? Day range, yes. We're wanting to go back to February. I think it was February. When did it start to go? Oh, this is in percentage. I need to change this as well. Regular. Here we are. Okay, so let's put a line on let's insert a line here on 50,000. Okay, that's near enough. Not draw a horizontal line. There we go. And around 60,000 here. Okay, so we can see that this is as a resistance line, and at the top here, and a support line at the bottom here. You can generally see, and I honestly believe, I think Tesla came in around this time, and of course Bitcoin has had a month of stagnation generally each level. However, I think with Tesla coming in, perhaps they will be pushing it down. Every time it's reaching 60,000, they're like, okay, let's sell a bit. At the moment, it's Easter, so I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's going up. However, why this is important, right? So if Tesla really affects the stock price, the Bitcoin price, sorry, not only Tesla will be affecting it, there are other large companies out there who have bought into Bitcoin and who have also invested in various stocks and shares. Perhaps they will turn, if they are actually a trading company, perhaps they will turn around and hope for profit in Bitcoin. But that's a very big hope. Hope for a profit in Bitcoin and turn around and invest in Bitcoin to see if they can avoid the crash in the market if they know it's coming. But if they know it's coming, then surely they won't want to invest in Bitcoin. If they're smart enough, they won't, because there are people who are acting very strange with stocks. Bill Gates, I mentioned, and currently they're acting quite strange with stocks. And of course, there was another explanation as well. I was actually following somebody on eToro again, and they were talking about the fact that I think it was capacitors. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but there is this shortage at the moment of a component for computers in general. So that means that anything to do with computers, anything like the Tesla cars, anything remotely like mobile phones or anything like that, they will be struggling to get hold of these components, and they're not able to produce as many as they normally would, which means that their profits will be going down. And generally that's been a downturn in February and March, and being a result of coronavirus, of people not being able to work during that period, right? So we have this issue, and so we have this issue, which would explain why this has been happening. But the other thing is that people only have a limited amount of money, right? So we're talking about, at the moment, I started this video to talk about price to earnings ratio, right? So price to earnings ratio is sky high at the moment, and people have a limited amount of money. And you can easily see in the Bitcoin to US dollar here, at the bottom here is actually the amount of transactions that's been happening on a particular day. And you can see that they have that there's been larger trading volumes before, and it's quieting down quite a bit now. And it could mean that people are generally running out of cash, out of money. So so it means that essentially people have invested so much, the price to earnings ratio is so high that there's eventually they'd run out of cash and it'll just crash. It's what happened in the 1929 stock market crash. So these are the signs to watch out for. And unfortunately, it looks as though that perhaps April will be the time, if you look just before the recession as well, people were talking about a double-dipped recession. You know, people were going into the recession, they're like, oh, look at everything's so low, let's invest loads of money, because we got loads of money spare left over from the savings that we managed to save up during this period. They invest all their money to go up here, but then they invest so much money that they put all their savings in, and then it crashes, and then nobody has any more money to actually invest, and so the market just stagnates and stays at low level for a very long time. And last time in 1929, it stayed there for at least 15 years, I think 29 years, or 25 years, or something of that period. It was quite an awful time to be alive and to try and find money. So what can you do? I mean, if you actually look, so I got a chart here. Actually, not this one. This one. I got a chart here looking at the prices generally of currencies, right? This chart isn't completely revealing, because I think actually originally the chart I was looking at, so somebody was actually mentioning this, that the US dollar has been inflated so much that all the other currencies, as you can see, if I was to buy with the US dollar all of these different currencies, if I was Japanese, I can't remember the currency, Japanese yen or something, they will be 0.35. But then the Australian dollar to buy with US dollars now is down 10% from February last year, before the financial crash. But it is quite strange how the amount that you could buy before the crash was going up at that period. That's quite a strange moment there. Perhaps that could be a sign, but I don't know. I don't know enough about technical analysis. I'm not educated enough to give you a proper overview of this. So you can see here that maybe the safest option will actually just be turn around and invest, because I checked out already all the different currencies compared to the US dollars. The safest option perhaps is just to put your money into Australian dollars if you're completely paranoid and thinking the whole market's going to crash. However, you could do what Bill Gates managed to do, and that was to invest into a company which is unlikely to go under, which is actually healthcare, because everybody needs healthcare, of course, especially during Corona times. Of course, regardless as to what else is happening in the rest of the world, people are still going to buy the Corona tests. They're still going to buy the Corona injections, the vaccines, sorry, and all the other things that regarding that. So that stock is still going to go up, or it's going to keep its value. So right now, at any time in a crash, you just want to find anything that will just keep its value. There was the YouTuber that I originally mentioned about that was talking about Tesla and about how it's going to make Bitcoin crash, was actually suggesting altcoins. Now, altcoins is a term used for the smaller cryptocurrencies, the ones that have just come out, and that could also be another way of putting your investment in something that could possibly grow. It's because it's so new and it has so much hype, and oftentimes these altcoins go up like 1,000%. It could perhaps, instead of 1,000%, would go up 100%, 50%, maybe even 20%. But at least your money would be safe in that place. I mean, even leaving your money as your own currency. I mean, I'm kind of lucky because my currency here, Swedish krona, is actually one of the ones that's very much like the US dollar. Sorry, not the US dollar here, Australian dollar, which compared to the US dollar, I'm lucky in that sense, where it's leveled out. I mean, it's not leveled out. It's not inflated as much as the US dollar, and so we could. So you could also invest in the Swedish krona, of course. But so there is also a reason for these newer ones, maybe especially if they've got a real business backing, like helium, for example. Although I do think helium's been around long enough now to actually have some real value to it at the moment, maybe even be overvalued currently. So maybe not that one. I wouldn't class that necessarily as an altcoin in my mind. Maybe some people, of course, most people would say it's an altcoin, but not in the same way as a brand new coin, like I was talking about once about student coin, or all those other risky assets. You could have a look at and see what actually holds their value, why they are valued at that much. And of course, yeah, like I said about Bill Gates, maybe the safest option would be just to put it into a stock that is very safe. That where you find, if you look directly at the earnings, the price to earnings ratio as being very low, and just put it there. Because you know that if the price to earnings ratio is very low, and they're a company that will undoubtedly sell something during a period of turbulence, then you can pretty much know that your money's going to be safe. Now, I'm not a person that you should... I just need to put this warning out there. Of course, I've done this whole video now. I should have put this at the beginning, but I'm not a person that you should follow financial advice for. I'm just saying my opinion here. And personally, I think I might actually just pull... I've been a little bit up and down with everything, and life is getting I'm putting too many projects on myself at the moment, and it'd be nice just to put my turn my assets at the moment into real money. So I'm thinking of pulling out, and I'm lucky to be living in a country where the currency is not being inflated too much. So maybe I'll just pull it out and put it into my local currency and hold it for a while, also so I can also use this money to invest into other projects on this channel. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I hope you enjoyed watching. Make sure you keep you subscribe to keep watching, so I can keep talking to you guys about my theories, and I'm hoping to actually get, of course we have very few people watching this channel at the moment, but I'm hoping in time that these numbers will increase and would have a real conversation during these live streams. I have a habit of not, if you actually mention something during the live stream and I didn't see it, I apologize in advance. Because I'm just so used to not having anybody really watching, and these are very early videos, so I'll if I do see that, make sure you leave a comment, and maybe I'll probably see it at the end, and then I'll make sure I'll see your comment next time. But I look forward to seeing you next time, and I hope you guys are having good times, and don't let this worry you too much. Maybe I'm scaremongering here, maybe I'm completely wrong, who knows. It's always better to be safe than sorry, because I always wreck in my head, like, should I pull out Bitcoin, or should I leave it? Because I was looking at the last dip. Of course, you can only go by the history just before coronavirus, and I noticed that Bitcoin lost half. But this time it's a little bit different, because I don't think people, if there was a crash now, I don't think people will have the capital to bring the Bitcoin price back up again properly. This Bitcoin has never been through a proper recession. The only recession really has been this coronavirus outbreak. So it can be very uncertain. As with all cryptos, it can be very uncertain. So yep, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.